An aerial view taken 28 hours after the explosion at Ground Zero shows the extent of explosion. The crater was far more radioactive than expected due to the formation of trinitite. Hello, and welcome to this edition of Preservation Workshop, where we're going to discuss the mystery of Trinity. Classified documents. I'm Sue Taylor, Chief Curator for the New Mexico Museum of Space History. Here's the cover page of a declassified document from Trinity. Only title is Secret Restricted Data. An aerial view taken 28 hours after the explosion at Ground Zero shows the extent of explosion. The crater was far more radioactive than expected due to the formation of trinitite. The crews of the two lead-lined Sherman tanks were subjected to considerable exposure. Samples from the center of the crater were taken 12.5 hours after the shot. Sampling took 12 minutes. One of the tank drivers, who made 3 trips, recorded 13 to 15 retigens, or 15,000 millirems, on his dosimeter and film badge. Today, international standards allow exposure to as much as 5,000 millirems a year for those who work with and around radioactive material. With the rocket lead-lined tank, rockets were projected to the center of the crater from a distance of 500 yards. The rockets were equipped with a sampling nose which could retain Earth samples obtained upon impact and a cable for retracting. Tank crews were changed in the several runs so not to expose excessively any one man. This tank found itself with an inoperative engine shortly after the shot. By using the first tank to tow it into position on the second day after the shot, it was able to launch its 6 rockets, 4 of which were recovered with excellent samples. Dara Nagel, physicist. We were involved in the preparations for the Trinity test. Our job was to collect soil samples from the crater as soon as possible after the explosion. That involved fitting out a Sherman tank with lead shielding. One of my jobs was to supervise the placement of the lead shielding. I was very interested in that because I knew I was going to have to ride in that tank, and the lead shielding was what was going to keep my radioactive dose to something perhaps tolerable. Those that did ride into the crater took turns going in. Each of these trips was with one physicist running the sampling equipment. The only one we didn't allow to go in was Fermi. We couldn't risk him in such a place. We knew that the Sherman tanks had a habit of stalling, so we wondered what would happen if the tank stalled in the crater. And we knew the answer. That would have been the end. There's no way we could have gotten out. Fortunately, none of the runs ended that way. By September 1945, the site, as demonstrated here by J. Robert Oppenheimer and General Leslie Groves, was deemed safe with low radioactivity to let reporters in. So where are the tanks? All the report mentions is that all the material mentioned, labware, trinitite, a contaminated truck, was bulldozed into a trench and buried. No one has ever said where. Thank you for joining me today. If you like, please subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages where you can find more interesting programs.